The Crush
Or the
40.
Best of Crush 40 album.
Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N'
Wait,
Roses.
this is dinosaur.
No, just from this album. This is what we've done.
Yeah, Max, right?
Yeah, you got me. Yeah.
So we got panelists, right?
Yeah, this is his solo.
We have
I don't do
Luigi.
shit right now, yeah.
Yeah.
We have Waluigi times back here.
Heroes.
Oh, I am dead to do this.
Good.
I want to do this.
That's other me apparently. I had like multiple cons in a row where I need another bounce. I'm like, that's fucking bad. Yes.
Yeah.
I think you
Yeah, I
said
can't forget your name, it's mine.
That's why I remember. 'Cause I'm a narcissist.
Exactly. I used to sit up in the front rows closer to center. Like,
I never even asked this guy his name. He's been so Where is it?
I'm looking forward to this one and Waluigi. It's gonna be like a Pokemon one, but like, I've seen it before and I have like fair one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember. Well, that's good.
You guys have one on Sunday, right?
Yeah, so
Potentially. I saw
so
the
they
picture.
assassinate. So they never
What time is it out? I may or may not see the
Okay.
Did anyone watch Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves? I know I
Yes.
asked this earlier. That's a lot of people. Can I get a general consensus?
I like it.
Like good, bad,
It was
good?
great.
Great movie.
I thought the dragon was hilarious.
It costs like what, 150 million in special effects alone?
I saw the original one from like 15 years ago. That was
Did not
just
talk about
awesome
that one.
cheese.
The original one?
The one that they made, the one that they made back in
Which original one?
like 1999.
Oh, so you saw 2000.
Yeah, 2000.
What was that? Honor Among the one with Jeremy?
I hate to break it to you, that's more than 15 years ago.
Right, 30 years ago. Whatever. I'm old. I don't care.
Oh, I mean, there is one from 15 years ago. There's a 2005 one.
Once you hit your 40s, you start to forget.
There's a
what everything is.
2012 one. I'm going to talk about all of this in the panel. Don't worry. Well, what's your review? Like, I need a second opinion. I've never actually met anyone else who's watched the movie.
I saw it. My D&D group went and saw it in the theater.
In the were you disappointed? Were you happy?
We laughed at it, and then we went and had Krispy Kreme afterwards, and we made a joke about the fact that because one of the main characters like being resurrected at the end of the film or whatever. And back in the day, being able to raise up, you had to have like specific magic items.
Yeah.
We were playing second edition at the time. It's just the age on that one. We're like, yes, his God granted him a boon. There we go.
You do know that the follow-up movie is a direct sequel, right?
Really, I was.
Yeah, they bring back the minor villain from the first movie, and he's the big villain of the second movie. But in the first movie, he's like he's like the top henchman, and he's kind of his whole shtick is that he's afraid his boss is gonna kill him. And in the second movie, he's just the most stoic, like, mind-controlled guy possible. It doesn't make sense. They bring back Damodar, but they do nothing with him. And he kind of just gives up. Like, the main guys get him, and he's like, oh, I guess I did lose, didn't I? Oh, well, you can take me to jail now and definitely not kill me. And then they take him to jail and don't kill him. And it's like, I just don't get it.
Not everyone has to burn.
You're right, this one sucks.
Yeah. You have to turn it off and back on if you don't use it for more than 30 seconds.
Welcome to Dungeons and Dragons Media, a critical fail. I'm Thomas. I am part of 5th Gen, not Pokemon.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, but this
be
is
determined.
unaffiliated. This is born straight from my heart, my soul, my passion. I've been working on this since October. I've been getting 5 hours of sleep a night since like a week just to bring this all to you today.
You still have a soul? Woohoo!
Nothing's left.
That's a lot of work.
He sold it so that he can make this PowerPoint.
Exactly.
Should have put it in a phylactery.
The slideshow is the phylactery.
betray me. But in this panel, we're going to be talking about 4 pieces of media: the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon from 1983, Dungeons and Dragons from 2000, Dungeons and Dragons: The Elemental Might, which is also localized as Dungeons and Dragons: Wrath of the Dragon God from 2005, and Dungeons and Dragons: The Book of Vile Darkness from 2012, which is kind of the middle child out of the group. There will be spoilers for all of this, and so keep that in mind. I think I also have a spoiler for Pokemon the Movie 20, I Choose You. So if you're concerned about any of that, feel free to leave. Mostly, we're going to be talking about the cartoon, though. 90% of this is about the cartoon.
Is that the only reason I can leave, or are there other reasons?
You can't leave.
Damn it.
We're not going to talk about Tom Hanks getting summoned with demons?
Maybe there's a place to talk about a new Dungeons and Dragons movie that came out, a modern day take of Dungeons and Dragons. And I think there is, and yes, I will discuss it. But before we all get in, I think we need to lay some ground rules to establish who Dungeons and Dragons is for. Is it for the young? Is it for the actually talented people? Which I don't know about that one. Is it for exactly who you think it's for? Or is it just for Chris Pine? It could just be for Chris Pine. I did a lot of soul searching, a lot of research. I don't know who Dungeons and Dragons is for. It's a mystery. All I was able to figure out, it's not for children. And I know this because when I went on the Spirit Halloween costumes for the adult Dungeon Master costume, you can see we're sold out of only the large, extra large costume. You can still buy it in small, medium, and teen size. This is exacerbated by the fact that these costumes run insanely small. According to this, I'm a large/extra large, the largest size. And literally, it's just child size in that. We have no choice but to conclude Dungeons and Dragons is not for children at all. Let's start off with the cartoon, and I'd love to talk to you about it, really establish who the characters are, but there's no one better to tell you about the show than the show itself. I'm gonna play the opening, very professional with me. There's 7 seconds of this.
The force of evil. I am Dungeon Master, your guide in the realm of Dungeons and Dragons.
We've just talked about who is Dungeons and Dragons for, and now they've shown us what Dungeons and Dragons is. The only remaining question I have: why Dungeons and Dragons? Why now? Why here at SacAnime? Oh, side note, check out my other panel on why yen is weakening. The answer is very simple though. Dungeons and Dragons is anime. Although Dungeons and Dragons was made by Kevin Paul Coates and Dennis Marks and executively produced by Gary Gygax, who, let's be clear, not anime people. It was animated by Toei Animation. And we all should know about Toei Animation. They've brought us our favorite anime series, such as King Kong, the animated series. the Smokey the Bear Show, and my personal favorite, Transformers. We have no choice but to conclude Dungeons and Dragons is anime, and we just watched the intro. It's an isekai. Dungeons and Dragons is literally an isekai, 1983. Like, there's not many isekais before then. They're not dead, they just took a roller coaster into the realm of Dungeons and Dragons. Yes.
This is Superbook Erasure, the Bible stories, the first isekai.
Listen, Dungeons and Dragons is many things, it's not trying to erase the Bible.
Damn.
Now, this one's on my bad. This is, if I ever do this panel again, this section will be dramatically different. So this is the only time it will be presented like this. Feel lucky. Well, don't, because it's terrible. But I'm going to show every important character in the show, list out their character traits. There's going to be text on the slide, and I'm sorry. Starting off, there's Bobby, who's the barbarian of the group. He's really one of two characters. I would say interesting characters, but everyone else has no personality traits. We know he's young, headstrong, and most importantly of all, he has a big heart. He loves his pet unicorn Uni. Next, we have Eric, the cavalier. Did I see a hat?
I just wanted to point out that the fact that only one or two characters has any semblance of a personality is totally normal for the average Dungeons and Dragons. So it's actually really appropriate.
It's also kind of normal for isekai as well, if I'm being honest.
Which one of them is the clear ripoff of some other character from an entirely other cartoon series?
You'll find out. We have Eric, who's the cavalier of the group. Fine, one more.
Did they actually have an addition? Look at this one.
Do they what?
Addition. Look at this one.
No, they don't. They just ride the Dungeons and Dragons ride at a theme park and get magically transformed. Back to Eric, my favorite character. He's arrogant. He's also the rich kid. He's cowardly, ignorant, selfish. I'm beginning to like question why he's my favorite character. Also, he's sarcastic. Now we're going to talk about the leader of the group, the Ranger King. Diana is the acrobat. She's actually sensible. She's talented in the lore of the show. She's a state level acrobat. So she's insanely skilled. She's already, like, she doesn't need a Dungeons and Dragons class. Makes no sense. And because of that, she's the strongest one of all time. Side tangent, kind of a racist design. I mean, I don't know why they made her clothing look barbarian-like when she's not a barbarian. Giving her the acrobat class is basically like making a whole class around saying black people can jump. So,
First and second edition were insanely racist.
yeah, that's true. There's Presto, the magician of the group. Looking at him, and based on design conventions, you can probably tell he's an introvert, the nerd of the group. He's kind of bad at what he does. Fun fact, his name is actually Presto. His parents must hate him. The other ones, they have normal names. No, his legitimate name is Presto. Makes no sense. Sheila's the rogue of the group, which I didn't put in. She's naive, timid, docile, mild, lonely, pretty much every single negative Pokemon nature. Those are our player characters. Now we have Dungeon Master, who's really the worst character of all time. Everyone knows who he is too. It's quite bad. We'll talk about it later. We have Venger, who's just the bad guy. That's his character trait. And with these characters, you'd expect the episodes would start with anything going on. You'd think like the characters would have a pool party or something. No, all episodes just start with them kind of standing around. And then Dungeon Master shows up and he's like, hey kids, I know a portal home that you need to go to. But to do that, you need to find a magic item or a magic location. But Venger does his best to stop them. And on their like weird little quest, they meet some wacky NPCs and they end up losing the portal, and what's most important, they can't go home in the end. But hey, at least they learned a message along the way, and they're better people.
So what you're telling us is that Dungeons and Dragons is Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah. I'm now going to go over a few choice episodes. It'll really give you a taste of what the show is, and more importantly, what the show is not. Starting it off with the very first episode, The Night of No Tomorrow. As I said before, this starts out with the gang standing around, doing nothing. And then Tiamat just shows up. And Bobby, being the man of action that he is, decides to run up an int and has to get saved by his friends. They lure Tiamat to a cave, and Bobby, who's somehow managed to climb a wall and hit a rock off in one turn, recreates his favorite scene from Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Genji's Rescue Team, where they hit Moltres with the rock. That kind of just happens. Now, Venger arrives. He tells them to go north to the town of Helix. That'll help them find a way home. They don't have anything better to do because this takes place directly after the intro of the show. And Venger just walks behind a pillar and disappears, presumably teleporting off to partake in debaucherous acts. As I said, the gang heads north, no real clue what to do, and Eric is the only one to really attempt sun protection. So he's taking care of himself. Everyone else, they're not. Side note, take care of yourself, drink water, it is a convention. The group want horses, and Presto, with his magic hat, he can like pull wild shit out of it. It's kind of crazy. And they're like, you know what, just pull up, give us some burgers, Eric. Where's our damn burgers? And Eric's like, fine, I'm on it. And he tries to make burgers, but they turn out to be a bit too raw for him. So he gives up. On their way, treading through nothingness, they reach Merlin's castle, which is in the sky, and you know, being players, they're completely unable to resist the temptation of not the main quest. So they go up and meet Merlin, who's like some all-powerful, all-knowing magic wizard who can do anything but grow hair. And that's not my joke. That's the show made that. It's good. Like, Merlin's the best NPC in all 27 episodes. Eric, who is already done talking to the NPC, is like, fuck it guys, I'm gone, bye. The jump scared by Tiamat, instantly. The gang then lures Tiamat to like the dungeon in the floating castle, which I can only assume is in the cloud area, because if it's not, I don't know where a dungeon would be in this architecture. This is when Merlin is like, hey, Presto, you seem kind of magic, kid, and you know what, I'm old enough, I need someone to carry on my magicness. I'll teach you everything I know, but you have to stay here with me, an old man you just met. And everyone kind of just agrees that that's the right thing to do, and they split off. First episode, Presto's already gone. He's gone from the party, never to return. It's just the gang. Unfortunately for them, they actually reach the town. Well, and nothing happens. They just kind of walk around. And it's a town. The NPCs just do nothing. They've got like 3 scripted lines. Meanwhile, at Merlin's castle, Presto's first step to become an expert wizard is to stir a pot and not ask any questions. And you know, he doesn't do that at all. He's like, you know what, I'm gonna make a portal to send my friends home. And he makes a portal, but it doesn't send his friends home. It unleashes a horde of dragons on the town. So, not great. Merlin appears, and you'd think Merlin would burst a blood vessel. No. Merlin reveals himself to be Venger in an act of mouth stretching that would make even the mummy proud. knowing he's messed up and that because of him, an innocent town and his friends are gonna die, Presto gives us his best YouTuber apology face. Thankfully, the rest of the group was warned by a stereotype that this was going to happen the whole time. So they ride back to Merlin's castle and they hit Venger with books. When it's not that effective. He gets out and it's not even the most harmful way literature can hurt someone. Venger gets free because of course he does, and Tiamat gets free because of course she does, and they kind of fight, and Venger flies away, the group's reunited. Dungeon Master appears, and he's like, I got all the magic items, guys. I'm cool, you love me. He's just sitting there smugly. This is his whole world in the show. Side note, they actually get to keep the horses, so net positive for the group. They don't have many, and Eric wants his own. He refuses to ride with anyone else. And Presto, now gaining confidence from banishing the dragons and all that stuff I didn't talk about, he's like, fine, I'll get you a ride. And he summons back the cow, who licks Eric, and then everyone just laughs at Eric, and the episode ends. And that was episode 1. You may be noticing a pattern in this show, and that they all dig on Eric. And this gets pretty bad. It gets to the point of actual bullying. How many episodes do you think starts off with them roasting Eric or laughing at him? Any guesses?
7.
All 27.
All 27.
7, 27.
420.
Not 420. 14. 12 was the closest. 14 entire episodes of the 27 episode show start with them just ripping into Eric. And it's gross at some point. Like, I get his shtick is that he's the fun one to make fun of. Believe me, I know that shtick. But it's taken way too far. Do you have any guesses on how many episodes end with them roasting him?
27.
13? 19.
27.
18. All but one.
All but
26.
17 episodes. Again, more than half of the episodes end with them laughing at him. In this particular case, he's like fallen, his hot air balloon was like explodes, and he's dangling there for dear life. He's like, guys, give me a hand. Up there, they're clapping at him. They're giving him a hand. It's disrespectful. It's quite fucked up. And to give you context for this one, he was turned into like a monster, and their first thing is to laugh at him. So, how Eric doesn't have self-esteem issues, I have no clue. This happens, that same episode kind of repeats for a grand total of 18 more episodes. Now we're on episode 20, my personal favorite episode. And this is where things really reach a boiling point. Starts out with the group versus an ice giant, which they win. They then solve some puzzle of splitting a mountain and are about to reach the portal home when Avenger kind of comes and he blows that shit up. And this is fine. The show's like Samurai Jack. The characters like pretend not to get affected by, not this time, they're depressed. They want to go home. Bobby, since he's canonically like an 8-year-old child and has been separated from his friends and family for like, 2 months at this point, has a little breakdown. And it makes sense. What doesn't make sense, Dungeon Master shows up and he just completely fails to read the room. He wants them to find the Book of Darkness. And Hank isn't having it this time. He's like, no dude, we're not gonna find Atlas Shrugged for you. They get into a pretty heated argument where Hank wants to find the dragon Tiamat and use her to take down Venger. And Dungeon Master, he's like, I don't know if you guys should kill Venger. I mean, he's evil and I'm good, but you should really believe me, you don't want to kill him. And they're like, we want to go home, man. We want to go home. Dungeon Master's like, fine, just ask her at the dragon's graveyard. And so the group have a quest, Dungeon Master fucks off, and the group are ambushed by Venture. Great. They almost escape into a cave when, very tragically, Uni, Bobby's pet unicorn, is lit the fuck up. And it all really turns into a Saving Private Ryan-esque situation where they need to, like, go out in the airstrikes and rescue someone. Bobby is really sad that his pet is dying, which, fair. In an act of conviction, he shows the most conviction anyone has ever showed in the whole show. He says, and I quote, "Don't feel sorry for me, Sheila. Feel sorry for Venger." So Bobby Wood, he's gonna fuck Venger up. It's personal. So the group combine their weapons and it makes like some sort of symbol. I don't know what this is. If you know what it is, please let me know. And they're transported to the dragon's graveyard, which I can only assume is on the moon. And upon further inspection, it's not really a nice place. Unlike an actual Dungeons and Dragons party, they find a magic sword that's sharp enough to cut through rock, and they decide to not pick it up or use it. They're just like, oh, magic sword cut through rock, let's leave it there. Like an actual adventuring party, they're attracted to the most interesting architecture. And thankfully for them, that's where Tiamat is, and they fight. And they fight for like a while. Tiamat uses poison breath that they beat by holding their breath. They're like, poison breath, just not breathe, guys. It's that easy, and it works. The fight eventually, as most fights do, it devolves into a verbal harassment and ad hominem. At which point they get Tiamat on their side, and Tiamat's like, you know what? I hate Venger. Let's fuck him up. Your weapons are powerful here. I'll get him for you. You murder him. So Tiamat goes on her own like side quest and Kool-Aid Mans her way through Venger's studio apartment and kidnaps him pretty handily. So here we are, the final showdown. It's the game versus Venger. And Venger, being the life of the party, decides to invite like a few +1s. So it's this whole like big battle, and I'm not gonna say these skeleton guys are chumps, but they're dealt with pretty easily. Eric is the one who saves the day. He actually uses a magic item on the ground to fight them, and that changes the time of the whole battle. Blah, blah, blah. Bobby unleashes his anger. The ground around Venger breaks. Venger's captured. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. This is when Hank's friends kind of stand in the back and they're like, dude, you're the team leader. You decide alone whether or not to take a human life. It's up to you. Just you. And Hank, you know, being the soft man that he is, takes pity on Venger and decides to not kill him and let him be free. At which point Dungeon Master conveniently shows up and he's like, you guys did the right thing, you shouldn't have killed Venger. You know what, just to show you how thankful I am that you didn't kill the guy who's like tried to kill you every episode, I'm gonna heal your unicorn with a tiny net.
And then they kill Dungeon Master, right?
No. Then Dungeon Master teleports them back to the realm, and Tiamat looks out at what happened. And I will note, this is the last time Tiamat is in the series. Like, she was a side character up until now. This is the episode where they make her an ally, and this is the episode where they fail to kill Venger. After this, I can only assume she's so pissed off they didn't kill Venger, she nopes the fuck out of the entire show. Like, she's just gone, roll credits. At this point, you may be thinking, this Dungeon Master, man, he's a bit of a devious little guy. I mean, look at him, look at all of his naughty things he's thinking. Like most real-life Dungeon Masters, Dungeon Master is kind of a sicko. Like, he's pretty condescending. I mean, guess how many episodes end with Dungeon Master acting smug and being like, congratulations, you learned the lesson.
Oh, 27. 26.
28.
16. 14.
I heard it
11.
17. We got it 17. Now, I'm going to talk about a very important episode of the show. I'm not going to tell you why. I'm going to let you guess why. It shouldn't be hard. But there's a certain reason why The Time Lost is such a notable episode. It starts off with the gang seeing a fighter pilot in the sky, just a fighter plane. I mean, yeah, it saves them from a wyvern, and they're like, hey, rescue us. They're not rescued. The pilot is then pursued by Venger, who's, in his perspective, just some guy riding a horse in the sky. And he says, I quote, I'm pushing Mach 1 and he's gaining on me. Do you know how fast Venger must be? Venger must be going actual Mach 1 then. I mean, that movement speed is about 6,521 feet per round, assuming you don't dash. The group, Dungeon Master appears to the group and he's like, this plot's big, you guys. This is a movie level plot. If you fail, not only will you die, but your whole world will die too. And oh, and by the way, Eric, you're gonna fall off that cliff and get hurt. Okay. Meanwhile, at Venger Ziggurat, he captures the fighter pilot, where we also see he's captured a bunch of people throughout history. We don't really know his end game. Yeah?
Is this the prequel to Heroescape?
No. We don't know his end game. We just know that he's jointing people throughout history. And we just don't know why. Yeah?
That's a damn Planescape.
Meanwhile, in World War II, I'm not joking, they just cut to World War II. We can see a self-propelled anti-aircraft weapon shoots down a bomber. This bomber falls out of the sky into a weird portal, leaving the war to end all wars behind forever. Meanwhile, back in Dungeons and Dragons, the gang are just standing around because that's half of what they do. When the fighter bomber crashes in front of them and they help the guy out, and the group, let's give them credit, they're in middle school and high school. They shouldn't know a lot about history. They don't know what's going on, especially after the fighter pilot introduces himself as Joseph Mueller. They team up, really handshake it out, become friends, decide to find a way home together, and they leave. And that's when the camera lingers on certain symbols on the tail section of the plane.
Does the fact that the protagonists are teaming up with Nazis make Dungeons and Dragons cartoon and JoJo reference?
No, but something else makes it a JoJo reference. So, like you do after you just make friends with some stranger, you have a picnic. And they're like, wow, Joseph, you were flying this really shitty old plane. What air show were you a part of? That's cool. And Joseph's like, what? I thought this is top of the line machinery. And then they stare at each other for 5 whole seconds. And Joseph books it. Joseph makes it to the river where instead of trying to escape, he looks in it longingly and really contemplates his life's choices that brought him to the place he is now before casting his armband into the river. The gang runs up and confronts him. Obviously, they're suspicious at this point. He tells them that while he fought for the Axis, he doesn't believe in them, and that in this new world, he's free. The group's pretty fine with this. They're like, yeah, I believe it. That checks out. They don't even get a chance to rekindle their dubious friendship when Venger shows up, captures Joseph, and lights the forest on fire. What do you do when there's a forest fire? Any ideas?
What's your response?
Call the fire department.
Fire department. There's no fire department in Dungeons and Dragons.
Lee?
Yeah, that. Where's that?
As time
Believe they don't do that.
Have I heard it's a lost cause anyway?
No, they don't do that either. What's that?
Whack the fire with a sword. Create a fire break.
A fire break? That's an actual good idea that they don't do. No, they decide to destroy a waterfall, creating an ecological disaster.
The Shanghai Shek sword.
At this, I'm sure you all know why I decided to talk about this episode. I couldn't. Meanwhile, at the ziggurat, Venger offers Yosef his in the advanced fighter plane from the beginning of the episode. And he kind of just mansplains that his plan was to give Yosef, the fighter pilot, teach him how to use the fighter plane, send him back to World War II, where he'll win World War II, that will change history and make it so the player characters were never born in the first place.
Oh, that's like the worst way to go.
Yosef agrees, as Venger is only the second most evil overlord he's ever worked for. And the group shows up and they're like, Yosef, how could you? And he's like, nah, you're about to be history, kids. And he flies off. Hank is unwilling to shoot down the plane. He's like, guys, I don't think I can do it. I really don't. So, at this point, the group's exhausted all hope. It's like a player's deciding he doesn't want to play and is taking the whole game down with them. There's literally nothing they can do but wish for a miracle, and which it happens. Yosef, he debates them. He's like, I was never going to betray you guys. Our 1.5 conversations we had proved that you should be good and not a Nazi. So he blows up the ziggurat, ejects, and then lands in the portal. He also crashes his plane into the ziggurat, which, okay, it smokes up. He parachutes in it and leaves, and he's like, bye guys, see ya in history. And the group kind of celebrates. They're like, wait, why are we still alive? And that's when Dungeon Master comes. And being Dungeon Master, you assume he has all the answers. And he's like, your history, because Yosef, he decided to defect. You guys got him. You were deemed a Nazi. Good job. As they all smile and look at the burning tower they caused. Roll credits.
Okay.
What the fuck? This Venger character, this was not a good episode for him. He was shown to be suspiciously interested in World War II politics. Why did he choose World War II? He was yoinking people from throughout history. Why World War II? Why was that the focal point? He was like, even though it was 40 years in the past, that's when I'm going to decide the group has never been born.
I'm assuming because he won the fire path for some reason.
I don't know why. I'm just saying, it's a little suspicious.
It's as far back as he could go in the family tree, otherwise you have to deal with the Mormons.
I don't know. The whole thing just makes no sense. It's very suspicious. He could have stopped them at any point, but the place he chooses is the war.
The war!
Dungeons and Dragons is a great cartoon. I love it. It's my favorite. And everyone agrees with me because the show was canceled after this. About 9 episodes later, that was all the show had. They had this epic finale plan, but they didn't do it. It just didn't happen. It was canceled before then.
Jeez.
Or was it? Yes, it was canceled. But I need to talk to you a thing called Dungeons and Dragons Requiem, the radio drama. They ran out of effort and budget to finish the show, but not enough that they wouldn't make a radio drama out of it. And looking at DuckDuckGo, which is my favorite search engine's top 10 greatest radio dramas of all time, you can see Dungeons and Dragons Requiem is number 2. Which, so it must be good. There's no way it's bad. Why is it number 2 though? What's number 1? Oh, yeah, that's why it's number 1. Like most, go on.
Yeah, so the parental advisory for Pokemon Live 2. I'm gonna need you to explain that to me.
Yeah, Team Rocket say a few slurs.
Oh, what?
It's a bit wild. Yeah.
What specific slurs?
What specific slurs? No comment.
Are they slurs that they can reclaim as queer people?
No, I'm making this up.
Does the cartoon count as a cosmic horror?
Wait, what's that?
Wait, sorry. So technically the cartoon would count as a cosmic horror.
Yes.
Okay, great.
And an isekai.
Because the dungeon master sounds like a cosmic eldritch god that
Yes.
holds kids hostage every year and uses them as a sacrifice.
Yeah, that is.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like most shows that redeem Nazis, Dungeons and Dragons has a lot of fans. So they decided, we're not happy with the radio drama, we're gonna make a comic completing it. So good on them, they made a comic. And then 2020 happened, they had a lot of time, they reanimated the entire thing with episode clips. So because of the fans that put their hard work, their sweat, probably all of their sleep into this, we now have a proper half-hour finale to Dungeons and Dragons.
Was it good?
You think we're not going to go over it? We're 100% going over it. And this is the final one, I swear. This is the section of Pokemon Movie 20 spoilers. So if you care about that, now's your time. I do say, because this is directed by fans, it is by far the most interesting episode of the whole show. Like, this is actual direction. Crazy. They show more than like 2 characters together. It's insane what it does. I just wish they could animate the whole series from the start, because Requiem Reanimated is awesome, and there's no better way to put it. Starts off in an environment that would 100% not be in any Dungeons and Dragons location. Like, there's no way the show would give us backgrounds that detailed. That just doesn't happen. And it starts off with Dungeon Master, oh, he's talking with Venger. He kind of just rolls up on them, and they make a mild wager, and that's if they're like, we're done. If the game succeeds at our quest, they'll go home. If they fail, they die. So basically, they establish the stakes that they've been pretending existed for the previous 26 episodes. The episode itself starts with the game versus a 3-headed dragon. I'm not sure if this was supposed to be Tiamat's return, but it looks just like a 3-headed dragon or maybe some sort of hydra. The fight isn't going particularly well, and like all religious groups, they pray out to their god Dungeon Master, and Dungeon Master kind of just tells them to fuck themselves. After the fight, they kind of stand in a sunset, the red barren earth and the 2 suns indicating the harshness of the land they're now stuck in. The red sky in the evening symbolizes how things are not only going to get colder for them, but once again, the game's reached another boiling point. Eric gets mad at Hank, believing the group should go north rather than south. Hank diffuses the situation, but the group's already starting to clash with each other. There's a lot of infighting here. And to be fair, this is what would happen in an actual Dungeons and Dragons game. Like, just a stupid argument over what direction to go. Under the 2 moons, the group's camping, they're still not happy with each other. They hate each other. They're done. And I will say this is the first time we've shown that Dungeons and Dragons is 2 suns and 2 moons. Like, the people who made this obviously know Dungeons and Dragons lore way better than the show ever did. They're rudely interrupted by Venger. And Venger appears and he's like, hey, kids, I know I tried to kill you, like every time, except that one episode where my master came back and the world leader, and we spent like 20 minutes like running away from him, only to reveal that he'd come back, and he never came back. Well, regardless, you see this key, you gotta find it in the cenotaph, in the ruins, and toss it into the abyss. And then I'll get you home, because Dungeon Master sucks. In fact, under his rule, you've just gone into conflict. What's up with that? Eric likes this idea, and he's like, let's go home by any means necessary. Hank doesn't, and the group's factionalized into Eric, Sheila, and Presto, who want to go with Venger's plan, versus Hank, Diana, and Bobby, who are they just like Dungeon Master for some reason. And I'm gonna take a quick sidebar here. I'm gonna ease a lot of your big concerns. These toys are still for sale. And as you can see, we get to power scale the character's worth based on how much their toys cost. Eric is $25 current money. That's cool. Meanwhile, you can see Bobby and Diana, they're more mid-range. Hank's at $5. Like, you could buy 10 Hank figures for the cost of a SacAnime ticket. Like, so I guess I'm not alone in thinking Hank is the worst character. Eric's team kind of leave, yeah?
Is he a ranger?
He is a ranger.
That's one.
Yeah, true. Eric's team leave on a flying boat that they kind of just make. Diana's like, oh, we gotta follow them, you guys. I'm gonna do an act. She rolls a 20 on her animal handling check, and they pursue on a wyvern, I guess. To make things dramatic, this pursuit happens over an active volcano, and Hank, being the incredibly cool and not awful person that he is, decides to open fire on his own teammates.
Not the Nazi, but his friend.
Yeah.
So he won't kill a Nazi. He won't kill Venture.
Yeah.
But he'll kill Eric.
Oh yeah, he fucking murder Eric. And he does as their ship catches on fire and they fall in lava.
I mean, Eric is a filthy block, so it's fine.
Eric is a character. I'm an Eric. I'm an Eric apologist. Meanwhile, the rest of the group is appropriately horrified in what Hank has done. Hank even looks distraught, but he gets over it incredibly quickly. He's like, okay guys, we gotta keep moving forward. It's what the rest of the group would have wanted.
That's what's okay.
They make their way through the ruins and reach the door to the cenotaph. And look at that door. It's the same roller coaster ride as the credits. Like, the people who made this really cared about the source material, which is not something I relate with, but I appreciate the hustle. We also see the door knocker is the same one, is the same symbol, that's like the title card. So they really put work into this. And it's really cool. Eric reveals that he and the gang lived the whole time. They survived. And apparently they don't seem too mad that they almost died. Eric is very happy to be like, you know what, we fought, but let's make up. Hank's mad. He's like, no, you still want to work with Venger. We still have beef. And they resume their argument. Hank is like, forget it. Try to go past me. I'm not gonna let you. And Eric was like, okay, presto, fuck him up. unlike Ash Ketchum, who would take the blast, Hank jumps out of the way like a little bitch. They stumble into the cenotaph and like fight a slime monster, and I look, that slime looks really cool. This is a cool looking episode. That looks like they kind of drew it or something. This is just the coolest show, the coolest episode of the show. They reach the top where they find the void to the abyss, which definitely is what that is and not a vaporwave album. Eric and Hank are still on bad terms, and they find the key and fight over what happens to it, and it ends up with Hank accidentally falling into the abyss. This is when the slime returns, and it really does a number on the entire rest of the party. It's up to Eric. He's the last one left. He has a flashback of all the wisdom Dungeon Master has ever showed him, and they show episode clips. And if you're wondering why there's subtitles, that's because I actually respect this episode, unlike every other one. Eric decides, he's like, fuck it, we go with Hank's plan to use the key on a random door that's right there. Instead of getting rid of it, I'm gonna open the door, you guys. And he uses the key and opens the door, and Bender yells no in his most like panicked evil way possible as the door opens and bright lights shoot out everywhere. These lights cover the realm, opening up portals to a new fertile land to discover. And all the people are like, fuck yeah, fresh trees, let's go. And they dip from Dungeons and Dragons immediately. Same with the monsters. So they're gone too. We can only assume that this new world will eventually be in the same state as the old one. Also, Hank turns out to be alive. Venger is also zapped, and he becomes human, and not just human, he becomes this ridiculous guy. This buffoon was the villain the whole time. He doesn't enunciate at all either. Like, this is audio drama problems. Like, he just kind of mumbles into the mic all over. That's him. He does his best, like, Freakazoid Henry Kissinger impression. And he's also revealed to be Dungeon Master's son. Which, I don't know, it was also revealed that he was, like, red-pilled into being evil, yeah? Oh, yeah.
That's why you don't want to kill him.
So his father was alright with his
Naturally.
Where do you learn it from?
I don't know. He is a dungeon master though, and Eric does drop a banger quote saying this whole realm is a dungeon and we're its captives. So Eric really understands what's going on. He's the only one who actually wants to leave. It makes sense. I don't know if the game's ready to leave. That's when Presto says I want to stay. He's like, guys, my name is Presto. There's nothing for me in reality. Also, Bender's here was saying he's going to teach me magic. What about that? Give me my magic. And so they're like, fine, Eric, your loss, I guess. See ya. And they leave and roll credits.
Wait. Did he actually die?
No. Yeah, I kind of skipped over it, but he lives. There's a little platform like that where they didn't see. Exactly. They leave, and unlike most credits, these ones don't scroll from left to right. They scroll from right to left. These ones, it starts, instead of starting at the Dungeons and Dragons ride to the end of the park, it starts to the end of the park and scrolls the opposite way to the end of the ride. Where we can see the group, they finally made it out, they made it their way home. This was such a good detail. Honestly, it's the most satisfying way they could have ended the show, and it was wholly done by the people who reanimated this, not the people who wrote it. Directorial genius. So that was the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon we're 50 minutes in. Was it worth it? Yeah, I agree, it was worth it. Would this be a good Dungeons and Dragons game?
Absolutely.
Fuck no. No. This game would be awful. Dungeon Master is literally like, you must find me, the Duels 3, I'm going to disappear now. And then he just walks away and they go and do what he says and then they always lose in the end. This is the most dog shit game I've ever seen.
Okay, yeah.
What if the whole group got together and decided to move in the end state? Everything except one.
Then that would be the episode of The Dragon's Graveyard, which is the best episode of the show. So that's the cartoon. One second. Nothing, we learned nothing. Everything was in vain. We wasted an hour. Go on. I think they just assumed he was too powerful. I don't know what's going on. Is the guys still here who watched the movies? We're going to do a lightning round of every other Dungeons and Dragons media of all time. Starting off with the movie from the 2000s, the one with Jeremy Irons. This film has student film energy, and I mean it. It is a charming PS2 level CGI. I mean, look at that dragon. Look at this beholder. Try as I might, I can't hate this movie. It's just so much of a student film. Yeah. 2000. It is about as sexist as your average D&D game, though. Next is the direct follow-up, Dungeons and Dragons: Wrath of the Dragon God. Don't watch this one. It's bad. It's boring. I don't know what happens. It's heinously bad. It's gave the person I was watching it with a headache. Like, at this point, when we were watching it, I was just wishing. I was like, why did I say I wanted to watch this movie when I could have been like, let's watch a Pokemon movie and they would have. No sense. Don't watch it. We're on to Dungeons and Dragons, the Book of Vile Darkness. It's the year 2012. The world is ending. Earlier I compared this movie to a middle child. It kind of is. It's the Shadow the Hedgehog of Dungeons and Dragons movies.
Bro, keep rocking.
The main guy, he's like, his religious organization gets absolutely decimated by like cultists in an evil D&D party, and he's like, I'm gonna join the party that killed my group and captured my father, but I'm gonna kill them all, one by one, Kill Bill style. But at the same time while I'm doing it, I'm gonna debate, is it morally right to take a life? The writers work in something that's wildly inappropriate, and it's just a mediocre movie. It's like if Pan's Labyrinth was directed by Zack Snyder. It's not good. Again, it's the most mediocre thing of all time. I can't hate it. It's no Wrath of the Dragon's God. Now we're on to Bright.
That counts?
Yeah. I regret to inform you I did not watch Bright.
Okay.
So you're completely qualified.
Yeah. I did. Unfortunately, things aren't happy for me. I'm still unhappy. Because I had to watch the Bright music video. In the first one, they solve racism by intimidating the cops. They're like, if you're gonna arrest those orcs, you gotta arrest all of us. It's a nice sentiment, but life doesn't work like that at all. And the other videos were, they were just edgy music videos. Like, I've seen better music videos produced by Fortnite. Like, it just makes no sense. I did watch Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. And I thought it was good. I thought it was a bit too good, if I'm being honest.
How's Taz Quest for Burger that low?
That low?
Yeah.
Honestly, you're right, it deserves to be number one.
Yeah.
I love Taz Quest for Burger. Watch Taz Quest for Burger. It's only available on like Amazon and I think maybe Apple TV. It's pretty good. It's a good time, very charming. Next time I do this, I'm gonna make a bit about it. I liked Honor Among Thieves. The whole movie revolves around how fucked D&D's like resurrection mechanics are. So whenever somebody like gets stabbed, they have to get stabbed by like a particular sword, and that's kind of wonky. But the movie is as cute, funny, and charming as any MCU movie thinks it is. Also, I liked Forge. He was the best kid. Like he just was the best.
He was a jerk and we loved him.
We loved him.
Well, we probably was kind of big, so that's not even great.
I love the part where he was in the when they were in the labyrinth and like there was like the displacer beast and they found the adventures in the caves and you can't see because it's shitty, but it's the party. They're back. That's Sheila, Diana, Bobby, Hank. Where the fuck is Eric?
I can't see.
Happy Eric's gone?
Eric died from bullying.
Eric is there. Uni isn't though. So we've got some Grand Theft Unicorn over here. I don't know. They're back. Thanks for watching the panel. So you can check more of us out Saturday. That's today at 8:30. There's Waluigi time. It's
I'm
8.
lighting, yeah.
It's at 8. We have Waluigi time. And it's Sunday at 3. I'm doing this again. I'm holding the D&D card. Well, I'm not really. I actually, this one was too hard to put together, so I wanted to get this one off. SacAnime said no. They were like, they ghosted me when I was like, I have to cancel a panel. They ghosted me. So we're gonna talk about Pokemon #Catch-Up. You can check out the group that bullies me, 5th Gen not Pokemon, there they are. Or if you want to contact me directly, there's my letterbox. You just leave a comment on my Dungeons and Dragons and any of my D&D reviews, and we can talk from there. But thank you. I have a list of grievances here, but they're not important. Thanks.
Good battle.
Any questions?
Yeah, he's still hired.